The prison ship was dark and cold. Inside, a single metal cell held the last human alive on this ship. His name was unknown to the aliens who captured him. To them, he was just a weak human prisoner, a trophy from a war they believed they had won long ago. The man sat quietly, his hands tied with strong metal cuffs. His body was bruised and dirty, blood dried on his face. But his eyes burned with calm fire. He did not look afraid. He did not look weak. He was waiting. Far away from Earth, deep in the unknown reaches of space, the alien warship moved silently through the stars. It was part of a large fleet, a powerful armada controlled by the alien empire. The aliens had fought many wars, crushing planets and enslaving species. They thought humans were weak, easy to defeat. This man was their proof. They had caught him after destroying his ship. Many humans had died in that battle. Only he survived. Now he was a prisoner, a symbol of their victory. But he was planning something else. The door of the metal cell was thick and cold. The walls had cameras that watched every move. The man stared at the gray metal, his mind working faster than any machine. He remembered his training. He was not just a soldier. He was a spy, a survivor, someone who knew how to fight even when all hope was gone. The alien guards passed by his cell. They laughed and joked, thinking he was no threat. One guard said, "The human will break soon. We will have our trophies on display." The other guard shook his head. "No, he is strange. I heard he is dangerous. We should watch him." The first guard laughed again. "Dangerous? He is just a weak human. Nothing to fear." The prisoner listened carefully. He learned the voices, their steps, and their patterns. Suddenly, the ship shook slightly. An alarm buzzed somewhere far away. The prisoner did not move. He knew this was his chance. The guards rushed to check the ship. Their voices became louder, but the prisoner stayed calm. His eyes focused on the wall. There was a tiny crack in the metal, hidden behind his cell. The guards did not see it. He moved his fingers carefully. The cuffs were tight, but not unbreakable. Years of training told him to never lose hope. A small tool was hidden in his boot, a piece of broken metal he had kept for weeks. Now it was time. Slowly, he worked on the cuffs. The metal creaked. He felt the cold bite of the metal against his skin. His breath was slow and steady. Suddenly, the cuff broke. Freedom was a few inches away. The prisoner stood up quietly. The camera blinked, but did not sound an alarm. The system was old and slow. He moved like a shadow, silent and fast. The corridor outside the cell was empty. He knew the ship's layout from memory. He had learned it during his capture. He pressed his ear to the door. The guards were talking in the distance. "They say the fleet core is safe. No one can touch it," one said. The fleet core was the heart of the alien fleet's power. If he could damage it, the whole fleet would stop. The prisoner smiled slightly. His mission was clear now. He crept down the narrow halls. The lights flickered above him, casting strange shadows on the walls. Every step was careful. Every breath measured. Suddenly, he heard footsteps behind him. A guard. The prisoner hid in a small maintenance hatch. The guard passed, unaware. He waited a few seconds and moved again. The ship's engine room was near. He passed the heavy door and entered a small control room. The screen showed maps of stars, ships, and weapons. The prisoner touched a control panel. It was a simple system, designed by aliens who underestimated humans. He smiled again. He pressed a button, and the power to a small section of the ship went off. Alarms buzzed in the distance. The guards shouted orders. The prisoner moved quickly. He found an air vent and crawled inside. The metal was cold and smelled like rust. Inside the vent, he could hear the voices of the guards searching for him. "They say the human escaped the cell," one shouted. "He must be stopped," the other replied. The prisoner moved silently through the dark tunnel. He reached a junction where two vents met. He chose the path to the engineering deck. From inside the vent, he saw a large room filled with machines and strange devices. He dropped down quietly. The room was empty. He walked to a console and began pressing buttons. The machines hummed and lights blinked. The prisoner worked fast. He was no longer just a prisoner. He was a ghost in the ship. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from above. The guards had found his cell empty. They ran through the corridors, shouting. The prisoner ignored them. His mind was focused on one thing, the fleet core. He knew that if he could destroy or cripple the fleet core, the entire alien armada would be lost. He moved toward the heavy doors leading to the control center. The doors were locked. He found a panel and started hacking it. His fingers flew over the keys. He bypassed the security system in seconds. The door hissed open. Inside the control center was a large room filled with screens and blinking lights. At the center was a large glass container holding a glowing blue sphere. The fleet core. The prisoner stared at it. The core was the source of power for the entire fleet. It controlled ships, weapons, and communications. If the core was destroyed, the fleet would become useless. The prisoner took a deep breath. He pulled out a small device from his pocket, a homemade bomb made from parts scavenged during his captivity. Set the timer for 5 minutes. Then he left the room. Quietly, the alarm started to ring loudly. The guards shouted orders to find the human. The prisoner ran through the corridors, moving toward the ship's escape pods. He knew he did not have much time. Suddenly, a group of guards blocked his path. He raised his fists. He was ready to fight. The guards charged at him, but he was faster. With a few quick moves, he knocked down 2 guards. The others hesitated. The prisoner ran past them. He reached the escape pods and entered one. He pressed the launch button. Pods shot out into space. Behind him, the ship began to shake violently. The bomb exploded. The fleet core was destroyed. The alien fleet was crippled. The prisoner looked at the stars. He was free, but his fight had just begun. The escape pod drifted silently through space. Inside, the human was alone but not afraid. His heart beat fast, but his mind was clear. He had no weapons, no help. Only himself. The stars shone bright through the small window. Behind him, the alien warship was falling apart, crippled by the bomb he planted. The fleet core was gone. Without it, their great fleet was lost. But the human knew this was only the beginning. He studied the controls of the escape pod. It was simple and old. Technology. The aliens didn't expect much from humans, so they didn't give him anything advanced. He pressed buttons carefully, learning how to pilot the pod. It wasn't fast, but it could last long in space. His name was Jack, but he never told the aliens. To them, he was just a prisoner, a weak human. Jack remembered everything. His family, his team, the attack on Earth's colony, the destruction of his ship. All of it burned inside him like fire. He was not just fighting for himself. He was fighting for all humans left in the galaxy. The pod beeped softly. The ship's systems were working, but limited. Jack checked the pod's small computer. He saw a map of nearby planets and stations. He needed a safe place to hide. He chose a small asteroid belt known for pirates and smugglers, a dangerous place, but perfect for hiding. Jack set the pod on course. As the pod moved, he prepared for what would come next. He had no weapons, but he had something more powerful, his mind. He had studied alien technology during his captivity. He had learned their language, their systems, their weaknesses. He remembered how the aliens underestimated humans, thinking they were weak, slow, easy to control. That was their biggest mistake. Jack worked on a small device in his hand. A simple tool he had taken from the ship's control center. It was not a weapon. It was a hacking device built to control alien machines. He smiled. This device would be his secret weapon. The escape pod moved closer to the asteroid belt. Jack's thoughts raced. He knew the aliens would not give up easily. They would send ships to find him. But they did not know one thing. Jack was not running. He was planning. He was going to fight back. The pod entered the asteroid belt. Rocks and debris floated all around. Jack steered carefully, avoiding collisions. Found a small cave inside a large asteroid dot. He docked the pod and climbed out. The cave was dark and cold. The walls glittered with strange minerals. Jack set up his small equipment, connecting his hacking device to a portable computer. He sent a signal out, a coded message to Earth's secret resistance. Humans still lived in hiding, waiting for the right moment to fight back. Jack's message was simple: I am alive. Help is coming. While waiting for a reply, Jack explored the cave. He found old alien equipment, weapons, communication devices, power sources. He tested each device, learning how to control them with his hacking tool. Days passed. Jack grew stronger. He used his knowledge to build traps and defenses around the cave. He created distractions, lights, sounds, small explosions, to confuse any alien scouts who might come looking. One night, he heard a strange noise outside. Alien ships were nearby. Jack hid in the shadows. 2 aliens landed. Speaking in their strange language, they searched the area, looking for him. Jack watched, calm and ready. He saw their weakness. They were afraid of the dark. He used his hacking tool to cut the lights in their ship. The aliens panicked. Jack caused a small explosion near their ship's engine. The aliens ran away, confused and scared. Jack smiled. The first victory. But he knew more was coming. The aliens would send soldiers, drones, maybe even their leaders. Jack prepared for battle, not with guns, but with brains. He learned their communication codes and listened to their plans. He found out they called him the Ghost because no one could find him. Jack was happy with the name. It meant he was winning. He was no longer just a prisoner. He was a symbol, a warning. One man, no weapons, but a mind sharper than any blade. Jack was ready. The war was far from over, but this time, the human would lead. Jack was back on the alien ship, but not as a prisoner. He moved like a shadow, unseen and unheard. No one knew he was inside. The ship was huge, far bigger than any Earth vessel Jack had ever seen. It was alive with strange machines and blinking lights. But Jack knew its secrets now. He understood the way it worked. He had one goal: to destroy the fleet core completely. That meant total sabotage. He slipped through dark corridors, careful not to be seen. His body ached, but his mind was sharp. He was calm, focused. Jack reached the engineering deck, the heart of the ship's power systems. It was noisy here. Machines hummed, and the floor shook with energy. Alien workers moved about, repairing damage from the explosion. Jack watched. He knew if they finished their repairs, his chance would be lost. He pulled out a small device, the hacking tool he had made from alien parts. With a deep breath, he connected it to the ship's main power grid. The screen blinked rapidly. Jack typed quickly, sending commands. The machines shuddered. Power systems faltered. Alarms buzzed softly, but no one noticed the cause. Jack smiled. The sabotage had begun. He moved to the fuel lines. Next, the alien fuel was strange, a glowing blue liquid that powered the whole fleet. Jack found a control panel and opened it carefully. He used his tool to create tiny leaks in the fuel pipes. Slowly, the leaks spread. Soon the ship would lose power from within. He left before the alarms grew louder. Next, Jack went to the communications room. The fleet depended on clear communication. If he could break that, chaos would follow. Jack hacked the main transmitter. He sent false orders to the other ships. Ships that were supposed to form battle lines now scattered. Some turned back toward their homeworld. Others drifted aimlessly. The alien commanders did not understand. Their technology was advanced, but no one had thought a single human could break it. Jack watched from the shadows. He was a ghost inside their machines. He remembered his military training. Before capture, He had been part of an elite covert team. They had taught him to fight smart, to use the enemy's own weapons against them. Now, those lessons were his strongest tools. Jack moved deeper into the ship. He found the main data core, the brain of the entire fleet. It stored all their secrets, battle plans, ship locations, weapon designs. If he could destroy it, the aliens would lose everything. Jack set explosives around the core, but he didn't set the timer yet. He wanted the maximum damage. Once the explosion started, there would be no turning back. Suddenly, footsteps echoed down the corridor. Jack froze. He hid behind a large console. Two aliens entered the room. They spoke quickly, their voices low. One said, "The sabotage is worse than we thought. We must find the human." The other nodded. "He's inside this ship. We will hunt him down." Jack's heart pounded, but he stayed still. The alien searched the room, moving closer to his hiding spot. Jack held his breath. Seconds passed like hours. Finally, the aliens left. Jack waited a moment, then moved on. He climbed to the upper decks. There, the ship's weapons were kept, giant guns that could destroy planets. Jack accessed the weapon controls. He disabled the safety locks. If the aliens tried to fire now, their weapons might turn on their own ships. The sabotage was spreading. The ship was becoming a danger to itself. Jack knew time was running out. He made his way toward the hangar. There, the alien fighter ships were ready for battle. He hacked into the launch controls. He sent false commands, launching ships randomly into space without pilots. Some crashed into asteroids, others floated away. Useless. The chaos would confuse the enemy for days. As Jack worked, a sudden blast shook the ship. The aliens had found another bomb. His device had been detected. Alarms screamed loudly. Jack ran. He sprinted through smoke-filled corridors, dodging alien soldiers. They fired strange weapons, but Jack was faster. He ducked behind a wall. One soldier turned the corner, ready to strike. Jack jumped out, grabbing the soldier's weapon. He didn't know how to use it well, but the soldier was surprised. Jack pushed him down and ran again. His lungs burned. His muscles ached. But he didn't stop. He reached the control room, where the fleet core had been. The glass was cracked. The core was unstable. Jack set the timer on the explosives. 5 minutes. He had 5 minutes to escape. Jack ran toward the escape pods. The ship was falling apart. The aliens shouted orders to retreat. The sabotage was working. Jack entered an escape pod. He pressed the launch button. The pod shot out into space. Behind him, the ship exploded. Flames and debris scattered in the dark void. Jack looked at the stars. He was alive. And the fleet was crippled. But Jack knew the war was far from over. The aliens would come back. They would try to find him. He had made powerful enemies, but Jack was ready. One man had become a ghost, and the ghost could not be caught. The stars stretched out endlessly as the crippled alien fleet drifted in confusion. Without the fleet core, their mighty armada was lost, ships scattered like leaves in a storm. The great warships, once proud and powerful, floated helplessly. Some spun out of control, engines failing. Others drifted toward asteroid fields, unaware of the dangers ahead. Inside the flagship's bridge, the alien commander paced nervously. His sharp eyes darted between flickering screens. The room buzzed with tension. "Report," he barked. His officers scrambled to answer. "Sir, all ships are losing formation," one said. "Communications are failing. We cannot coordinate attacks." The commander slammed his fist on the table. "How is this possible? Our system should be flawless." His voice echoed with panic. For the first time, fear crept into his heart. Far below, in the ship's shadows, the human known as the Ghost watched from a hidden panel. He listened to every command, every desperate order. The aliens had called him the Ghost because no one could find him. He was everywhere, yet nowhere. Jack smiled quietly. He had done this. The chaos was his weapon. Ships collided. Fighters crashed into one another. Supply lines broke down. The aliens were fighting themselves more than their enemies. In the mess, some alien captains questioned their leaders. "Maybe we should retreat," one whispered in fear. "Humans are stronger than we thought," another replied. Back in the command room, the alien commander barked orders to regain control. But the fleet was slipping away. Jack moved swiftly, using hacked consoles to send false data. He planted lies and confusion in the ship's computer systems. He sent orders for ships to attack imaginary targets. Others were told to turn back or jump to wrong star systems. Every message he sent spread fear and disorder. The alien soldiers grew nervous. They whispered about the human curse. They spoke of a single man who had broken their entire fleet. Jack's reputation grew, even though no one had seen him. Meanwhile, on the alien ships, small fights broke out between crews. Blame and suspicion poisoned their minds. Who allowed this to happen? They shouted. Some blamed their leaders. Others blamed each other. The fleet was breaking apart from within. Jack knew he had won this battle, but he was not finished. He moved to the communication room of the flagship. Here, the aliens tried to coordinate their forces. Jack hacked into the main transmitter. He sent a single message, clear and simple. "They bleed too." The aliens froze. What did that mean? Jack knew it would make them question everything. Their greatest enemy, a single human, was still alive. Still fighting. In the silence that followed, Jack felt a new power. He was no longer just a prisoner or a ghost. He was a symbol of hope for all humans, and a warning to the alien empire. Suddenly, alarms blared. Alien soldiers rushed into the room. Jack slipped out a hidden door, disappearing into the ship's maze-like corridors. The commander's voice roared over the intercom. "Find him! Kill the human!" Jack smiled. They could try, but the ghost was everywhere. He was the fleet's nightmare. The alien fleet was in chaos, but now a new threat loomed. A man they could not catch. Jack, known as the Ghost, had become their obsession. The entire fleet was hunting him. Every ship, every soldier, every drone was ordered to find the human and kill him. But Jack was ready. He moved through the dark tunnels of the flagship like a shadow. Every step was quiet. Every breath measured. The alarms still rang in the distance. Alien soldiers shouted orders, searching everywhere. But Jack had learned their ways. He knew their language, their habits, their fears. He used that knowledge to stay one step ahead. The ship was large and confusing. Jack had studied the maps in his mind. He moved toward the engineering decks, where he could cause more damage. The corridors were narrow and filled with strange machines. Lights flickered and hummed. Suddenly, he heard footsteps, fast and heavy. Patrol. Jack slipped into a small maintenance hatch, barely escaping notice. He waited, heart pounding, as the soldiers passed by. Outside, the ship shook with distant explosions. The sabotage was spreading. Jack smiled. The enemy was losing control. He left the hatch and moved to the fuel systems. Using his hacking device, he caused more leaks. The blue alien fuel glowed dangerously in the dark. He set small charges to blow the pipes at the right moment. The ship's power was failing fast. Jack moved on to the communication center. If the aliens could not talk to each other, their fleet would fall apart completely. He hacked into the main transmitter. Again. He sent false messages that confused the entire fleet. Ships changed directions, crashed into each other, or fled in panic. The alien commanders shouted in rage. Jack was invisible but deadly. The hunt for him grew more desperate. The aliens brought in special soldiers, elite hunters trained to catch him. Jack heard their voices. "They say he's a ghost," one said. "No one can catch him." Another replied, "We will find him, we must." Jack prepared for their arrival. He set traps in the corridors, broken wires, falling panels, and sudden explosions. He used the ship's systems against his enemies. The elite soldiers entered the area. They moved carefully, Weapons ready. Jack watched from the shadows. The first soldier stepped on a trap. A sudden flash blinded him. Jack attacked quickly. Knocking the soldier out, the others rushed in. Jack fought fiercely but did not stay to kill. He ran deeper into the ship. The hunt was deadly. Every corner could be a trap. Every shadow a threat. Jack knew he could not stay on the ship forever. He needed to escape. But before that, he had one more mission. He reached the ship's main data core, the brain of the fleet. Here, all secrets and plans were kept. Jack planted powerful explosives. He set the timer. 5 minutes. He smiled. The fleet's control would soon be lost. Jack ran to the escape pods. The elite soldiers chased him closely. He jumped into a pod and pressed the launch button. The pod shot out into space. Behind him, the data core exploded in a giant fireball. The ship shook violently. The hunt had failed. Again. Jack looked at the stars. He was free, but the aliens would come back stronger. The hunt was just beginning. Jack drifted in his small escape pod, far from the chaos of the broken fleet. The stars were cold and distant. But Jack was not alone. He felt it, a presence. He scanned the nearby space. No ships, no signs of life. Still, the feeling stayed. Jack's mind worked fast. Maybe he wasn't the only one fighting the aliens. He remembered stories from old Earth legends about allies who came from unexpected places. The pod sensors picked up a faint signal. It was weak, almost lost in the background noise. But it was there. Jack adjusted his course toward the signal. Hours passed. Suddenly, a ship appeared. Small, silent, and strange. It didn't match any alien design Jack had seen. The ship sent a message. "We know you. We want to help." Jack was cautious but curious. The ship docked nearby. A figure stepped out, tall, quiet, wearing dark armor that reflected the stars. The figure spoke in a soft voice, clear but foreign. "I am Kale. I am not your enemy." Jack lowered his guard slightly. "Why help me?" Jack asked. Kale looked at him steadily. "Because we also hate the fleet. They destroy worlds. We want freedom too." Jack nodded. They shared stories. Kale's people had been slaves once. Like humans, they fought in silence, hiding from the fleet's eyes. Jack and Kale made a plan. Together they would strike back harder. Kale showed Jack a secret weapon, a device that could disable ships instantly. Jack's eyes lit up. With this, they could stop the fleet faster. But first, they needed a base. Kale led Jack to a hidden asteroid station, small but well defended. Here they began to gather more allies, humans, aliens, and others who wanted freedom. The station buzzed with activity. Jack felt hope for the first time in a long while. The silent ally was not just a friend. He was a spark for a new rebellion. Jack trained with Kale's team, learning new tactics and technology. They shared stories around a small fire, simple but comforting. Days passed. One evening, alarms rang suddenly. An enemy ship was approaching. Jack and Kale prepared for battle. The silent ally was ready to fight. Together, they would change the fate of the galaxy. Jack stood on the bridge of the hidden asteroid station, staring at the glowing stars beyond the thick glass windows. The small base was alive with quiet energy. Every person here believed in one thing, freedom. But the battle ahead was not easy. The alien fleet was regrouping. Their anger burned hotter than ever. They wanted Jack dead, and the rebellion crushed. Jack clenched his fists. He wasn't just fighting for survival now. He was fighting to change everything. Kale approached, his calm face serious. "The fleet is preparing to attack. Soon." Jack nodded. "We need a plan. One that they won't see coming." They gathered the leaders of the rebellion, humans, aliens, and others united by a common cause. Jack spoke clearly. "We will strike at their new command ship. Without it, their fleet will fall apart." The room was silent. This was dangerous, but everyone agreed. For days, Jack and Keel worked with their team, studying maps, building weapons, and training pilots. The turning point was near. On the night before the attack, Jack looked at the stars again. Memories of his capture and escape flashed through his mind. He had come so far. The next day, the fleet arrived. Huge warships surrounded the asteroid station. The air was thick with tension. Jack's team was ready. The battle began. Lasers cut through space. Explosions rocked ships. Jack led the attack on the command ship. It was heavily guarded. Using stealth and clever tricks, they sneaked inside. Inside, Jack faced alien soldiers. He fought with skill and speed. He reached the command center and planted explosives. The countdown began, but the aliens discovered them. Alarms blared. Jack and Kale ran through the corridors, dodging enemies. The command ship shook violently. The explosives exploded. The command ship's systems failed. The fleet fell into chaos again. Jack's team escaped just in time. Back at the asteroid station, cheers erupted. Jack smiled, tired but proud. The turning point had come. The rebellion was growing stronger. The aliens knew the fight was far from over, and Jack was ready for whatever came next. The command ship was gone. The alien fleet was broken, not just in weapons, but in will. For the first time in years, the galaxy went quiet. But Jack knew this was not the end. Victory had been won, but peace still had to be built. The asteroid base was filled with cheers and light. People hugged, cried, and shouted with joy. Kale stood beside Jack, his dark eyes calm. "They won't forget this day," he said. Jack nodded. "Neither will we." They had done the impossible. A human prisoner, once locked in a cold cage, had destroyed an empire's fleet. But now, they had a new mission. Hope. The rebellion had grown beyond Jack. Across space, more voices joined the fight. Small colonies on distant moons sent messages of support. Even some alien ships turned against the old empire. Jack sat at a console. He looked into the camera. His message would go out across the stars, translated into dozens of languages. He began to speak. "My name is Jack. You may know me as the prisoner who escaped, or the ghost who crippled the fleet. But I'm just a man." He paused, looking into the lens. "I was taken, tortured, locked in darkness, but I never gave up." He leaned forward, "Because I believe we are more than what they think we are." Across the galaxy, people stopped to listen, on war-torn planets, inside mining camps, in cold underground bunkers. Jack's voice reached them all. They thought we were weak. They thought we would stay silent. But now we speak. We stand. We fight. He paused again, voice steady and strong. "This is not just a human war. This is a fight for all who are ruled by fear. We are not just rebels. We are the future." The message ended. Silence followed. Then applause, tears, cheers. Across the stars, Jack turned to Kale. "They're listening." Kale nodded. "Now they need a leader." Jack hesitated. "I never wanted to lead." "But you already do," Kale said simply. A signal came through. One of the last alien strongholds had surrendered. Another colony declared freedom. The map of the galaxy began to change. For the first time in centuries, there was hope. Jack looked out at the stars. He remembered the cage they once kept him in. Now, the universe felt wide open. A place where people like him could rise, and they would. Because of him. Because of them. And because no prison could hold the human spirit forever.